There we go. Okay, we are live now. Sorry for the late start, everybody, on the YouTube stream. So we are going to dive right in. Our agenda this week is issue number 461 in ComCom. Everybody who's in on the call, if you haven't already, please throw your names into the meeting minutes doc. I think most of us have done that already, which is awesome. And could I actually get somebody to volunteer to help take notes? I would appreciate that greatly.
Yep, I'll do what I can. If other
I
people
can help also.
Okay.
Likewise.
Yep, more the merrier.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And I'm just going to quickly paste in the updated agenda here because I switched up a bit. Oops. There we go. Awesome. So let's start out with a check-in with all of our initiatives here. So we'll just go from the top down, starting with, I don't believe I see other Ben here. So we'll start with mentorship. Love to get a check-in on that.
Yeah, so we've been going on mentorship, iterating over the program to make it better and make it more scalable to announce it to the whole Node.js community. At the moment, we're starting a new round. Hopefully, this is like the last beta round before we officially announce it to everyone. By announcing it to everyone is gathering more mentors from the whole project. Currently, we're just targeting working groups, and currently we have amazing 12 mentors that we're gonna start with, hopefully within the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Awesome. That is really, really good to hear. Sweet. Going down the list, Rachel, you want to give a quick update on node collection?
Yes. So we're actually getting a lot of contributors from the community coming in. And so we're just working that process. I was able to add another person to our editor list, Mateo. So that's been helpful. So thanks for folks who respond to me, and, so we can get some of this more technical content, basically, reviewed and make sure that it's where we want it to be for quality wise. Also, just really quickly, we're continuing our work on the working groups series. Reached out to Michael, and we've got a couple of leads coming through around some additional working group blogs that we can do. I think that there's a great opportunity with the mentorship working group. So I would love to, connect on that. And I can follow up directly and see how we can get something off the ground. It sounds like there's some good momentum there. So happy to support in any way I can to get that information out on the blog so more people can get excited about it and more people can participate. But so far, so good with the Node.js collection stuff. Seeing a really good, a good stream of content actually coming in from the community, which is awesome.
Awesome. I don't see Dan on the call. Does anyone on the call have context into latest from user feedback?
I think so. We're still working on the same things that we discussed the last time, which was, we're looking to do user feedback sessions in the physical meetups. We're working towards one that, Dan is going to coordinate in, I think it's late April, as sort of our trial run. Then we'll have a deck that, has the structure, and having validated the sort of approach, we can have other meetups roll out as well. So that's sort of the next step on that one. The other one is Ahmad and we have scheduled sort of a kickoff to get basically the enterprise subgroup going again. And, we've been working with Tracy to, put together a blog post. So we should see that going out fairly soon in terms of what it is, who we're looking for to join, and then the first meeting to kind of get those discussions going as well.
I have a question on that. Is that so there are two different enterprise things that happen. There's the enterprise group of the user feedback group, and there's the other enterprise thing that I don't recall the name of. Which one of those is it?
This is the enterprise subgroup. And we're specifically saying it's a subgroup of user feedback. The other one is no more. We've archived the repo. We agreed that anything future on that front should be under the auspices of the user feedback group, and will be it's a subgroup in the sense of we're trying to get feedback from all end users through the and our current approach through that is through the meetups. Enterprise is one where we've got a subgroup and there'll be others, so it's just like one among many ways that we're trying to get user feedback.
Awesome. Thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
Cool. And last but not least, website redesign. Manil, do you want to give an update?
Yeah, sure. Website redesign, last meeting, we briefly discussed a couple of issues related to node.js.dev, specifically around navigation and discussion around code coverage, and alternative solutions to providing credit. I think a PR has been made. I remember it going through. I'm not sure if it's been merged yet, around attributing credit to people who have been PRing documentations. I think Awais was responsible for a lot of that, so that was really cool. For context, giving credit for people who are contributing documentation is a big encouragement to people who want to do that, and we want that to be a core part of the new site experience. We also briefly discussed a call for proposals for the Collaborator Summit, so we'll be submitting one or two for that. If anyone has any suggestions around what they want to get out of a session with website redesign, do get in touch. I think DM us on Twitter or make an issue in website redesign. That'd be really cool. Otherwise, Adam, unless I've covered.
We also talked about, and this can kind of cross over as an ITN update as well. We talked about getting a time set up for a spin-out meeting to talk about ITN integration with the new site. So Zeke, I repinged him today to get the meeting scheduled for hopefully this upcoming week sometime. We're going to talk about what it'll take to get the internationalization artifacts in a consumable format for the new site. So how do we publish that module? How's it ingested? How's it, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of technical hurdles to get through there, but I think we got the right team to do it. So expect movement on that front. Cool. Any other updates from across the project or initiatives before we dive into the rest of the agenda? We'll save Node.js Outreach update for the agenda item.
The only other thing I thought of was, Joe, did you want to give an update on the survey side of things that the user feedbacks working group is working on?
Yeah, there's not, I think I gave an update last time and not too much has changed since then. Okay. Benjamin, who started the Promises user feedback survey, has been a little more responsive. So I'm hoping we'll actually connect next week. Excuse me. And I kind of half expect to just take that over anyway, since I've been focusing a little bit on Promises. But other than that, it's not any different from last week. For those who didn't hear last week, I basically created some issue templates so that people, when they want to initiate a user feedback survey, they kind of have an issue template to get them going, and also to kind of try to make clear that if they want to start something like this, they need to own it and see it through, at the very least, till handoff for the foundation to execute. So that's kind of generally it. Some progress, but not too much new.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So diving into the agenda, we have our usual stub tickets for Collab Summit update. This is number 149 in Node Summit and 448 in ComCom. I suppose this should actually be part of the initiative updates. Probably wouldn't hurt. Manil, do you want to give a quick update on how that is and a quick PSA on, hey, get your session proposals in order?
Yeah, totally. This is, sorry folks for people who have heard this before, but we will be pushing this over the next couple of weeks. Just quick reminders for people to get their sessions in for Berlin. So the Collaborator Summit, in a nutshell, is happening at the end of May, I believe the 30th and 31st, right before JSConf EU. If anyone was already planning to go that, for context, it's designed to like start with that, and then like people after that would be able to go to JSConf EU. The seats are open, so you can submit that on issue 149 in the Summit repo. I'm linking that in the chat here. It's a slightly different process. So before we used to submit them just through GitHub, now we're submitting them through a Google form. There is, like, you'll still be able to do the other one. We're trying to make it so that the form is the source of truth. So if you can, do submit it by the form. And if necessary, what we're doing is we could create another issue in GitHub if we want to like poll the community to see what kind of responses there are. But just do get the sessions in so we can start scheduling you, because the agenda is up and we're starting to slot stuff in. It's a little different this time because now it's not just Node.js, it's the OpenJS Foundation projects are all coming to Berlin. So this is going to be super cool. And sessions will be much broader, which also makes planning all this extra complicated. So the earlier you get those submissions in, the easier it is for the people to review them. And you get your thumbs up sooner, which means you can start making travel plans. But also, actually, arguably more importantly, submit travel fund requests ASAP. We need to make sure those requests go in, and there is a somewhat involved process of getting those approved. So submit those requests ASAP. There's a document to the travel fund. Does anyone have it handy? Or else I'll just copy paste it in the chat soon. Submit. So long story short, submit travel fund requests, and then also submit CFPs.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. I'm going to swap up the agenda a little bit here to throw Sarah Conway. You wanted to talk about the user survey and Node.js Interactive CFP.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Now? Awesome.
Sure. So there is the Node Interactive, Node plus JS Interactive. That website is live, but the CFP is probably going to go out Friday or Monday. So, we'd love help just promoting that that's a bit open now. And then eventually what we'd like, I'm wondering if there might be any volunteers that would want to help review the proposals that start coming in. Last year we had a little bit of a committee with some foundation employees as well as some community folks. And, we'd definitely be crossing over into the JSF projects this year and things like that. So was wondering if there are any volunteers for that. And if you want to just speak up on GitHub or contact me afterward, either way is fine.
Yeah, it's Michael. I'm definitely willing to do it again this year.
What was it again?
Great,
sorry.
thank you. We're looking for volunteers to help review proposals that come in the CFP for Node plus JS Interactive.
Okay. Yeah, I'd also be happy to help with that, Kearney.
Yeah, I'd be interested in helping too.
So last year, if I remember the process correctly, we had one designated person from each committee whose final sign-off was needed. Correct me if I'm wrong for anyone who was there for that. For us, it was Jem. I believe Jem's no longer with us. So would the process be similar, where you'd need a similar sign off from a directly responsible individual from each community, from each committee, and it would be necessary to have the proposal go through?
I think just,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to manage expectations, even with that sign off, it's ultimately still up to the executive director. Because last year, ultimately, I believe it was Chris and Mark who signed off on the lineup, regardless of who from our committees are representing that. And we'll also have, I would assume, way more people because of the various projects that we've got as part of this the larger foundation.
My one bit of feedback would be, I didn't know that there was maybe a sign off by one group from each of the committees.
Yeah.
But I think having a few more cycles of consultation would be, because I filled in my review and I never heard anything after that. And I think it would have been better if it was okay, we all spent the time, we reviewed them, but you're kind of just ranking a very large number, and it's you know, with a number. It would be good to have come back and said, well, here's the top X. You know, what are people's comments on that, right? You know, not that it needs to be the final decision or whatever, but just a little bit more of the, yeah, we've narrowed it down based on the initial numbering of the, which would your preferences be, or something. I think would be a good thing to include.
Yeah, I would be happy.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I would be happy to help with review again, Sarah, as well. Yeah, I think something that's, I think we're kind of queuing here to give feedback to the events team is that to have a little more transparency, even, or like managing expectations, even of the people reviewing, of what the process is, right? So like making sure everyone understands, like, okay, we're reviewing and giving points to these individual talks, but ultimately these 3 people are actually deciding the lineup, or like we get to have a say in the lineup. Like, I think that that's helpful. Yeah, that said, like, I mean, you know, we run processes in different ways with my personal, you know, the conferences I run outside of this. We have a different process than this one is, because there's also, you know, the corporate membership to consider as part of the discussion, and the way that the events team manages the event. So I think, again, it's always good to have transparency, even if it, you know, so that people understand like how the decisions are being made.
Yeah, exactly. Like writing that down would have helped me, because I sort of did it, and then I expected that there would be additional steps.
Right.
I'm surprised when it was announced, and I'm like, what? So, but
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and
I think
I understand, right?
And we caught an error, I think, after, right? Like once the schedule was published, because there were, I think, 2 talks with very direct overlap that I think someone would have caught in final review.
Yep.
So yeah, I just say write down what we think, what you think write down what it will be, and then people can, you know, read it and maybe comment, and otherwise it'll help everybody.
I'd also, I'm just sidelining or a different like following up on what we were discussing before. I know Liz Parody is on the call, or I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. She's an organizer of JSConf Columbia, and she would probably be good to help with this.
Yes, I would love to collaborate with this.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think, you know, thinking through what we liked from last year, but what we might want to change, and then documenting that, one, just for this committee and the people that will be involved, so there's, you know, clear expectations, but then even potentially making that process public and a blog post of some sort. I know at times we've done that. Then there was some hesitation and not wanting to do that, but I think that, you know, given all the thoughtfulness that's going into it and how it's evolving and hopefully improving, you know, I would encourage us to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah. Sarah, I can't remember, do we take a survey for attendees on like thoughts around talks and the programming?
We do, and I'd be happy to share that. I was just diving through that last week, and really, like, I think we had about 70 responses, and not everyone fills out everything, but I really sort of tried to see what patterns were there. I mean, there was definitely some of the things that I remember were, you know, desire to have more technical content, a desire to have the content labeled a little bit, you know, almost the way you have like ski runs that are like beginner or, you know, green, blue, black, like have the content labeled a little bit more to know if this is beginner content or intermediate content, etc. You know, I know we go back and forth about the length of sessions and keynotes, and that one was almost evenly split between people that thought it was just right to people who wanted a little longer. Obviously, no one wanted shorter.
Yeah, I think
I'd be happy to share the survey.
I've seen, in the surveys that I do, it's the same. So, yeah, I was thinking that it might help to have, like, for the people who end up reviewing, it might be nice to have like a little wrap up or synthesis of that for them, just to provide context of like, you know, while reviewing, we should consider these things. I think I had shared that with the events team in prior years, where I usually provide sort of like a steering document for like, you know, we want to make sure and prioritize diversity, you know, and representation of our speakers, to make sure that we have, you know, education, you know, location around the world, language, you know, technology, disabilities, those sorts of things, represented on our speaker set as part of, you know, that, as well as, you know, interesting like trends that we see that are really important this year that we think need to be represented on stage, as well as the feedback that we had gotten last year that we need to make sure we're providing maybe a certain ratio of skill, like level of talk, right? Like we need more advanced level talks, or we need more beginner talks, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can get a document like that started, and it might have, a little bit of the input from the input from last year, which wasn't everyone doesn't fill it out, but it's certainly a sampling. And then, maybe it can be a little bit of a working doc, and people can that are on board with being part of the CFP review process can just weigh in, and that could help guide the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Sarah, if you want to help get that document written, this might be a good thing to have live in Node.js/admin, just so we have it documented publicly, and there'll be a good place for people to give feedback and iterate on.
I would caution. Absolutely. So I know this is a Node meeting, but I don't know if that's a Node scoped document.
Yeah, I believe that putting that in the CPC or Bootstrap repo in the OpenJS Foundation work is
correct.
Yeah, because we are going to put out the same sort of call to the JS or the JSF, projects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to, we don't want to make this review committee maybe, unwieldy, but to your point too, Tracy, sometimes there's, to be honest, for KubeCon, there's a very big review committee, but then the final decision makers, there's the co-chairs, and they really have sort of ultimate authority.
Yeah. And I think
of course they take into account the feedback.
Yeah, I think that's okay, because you need lots of reviewers, especially with the number of applications that we'll receive. It's a lot of work. So I think I've seen in past years, oftentimes reviewers don't get the full set reviewed. If you have enough people reviewing, that's absolutely okay. And then the review committee, the sort of the producers or the chairs end up being able to help provide assistance. And then ultimately, the executive director and team help make sure that we've covered all of our bases in our meeting, the project need as well, the project's needs, as well as the corporate membership needs, and our potential ecosystem needs as well.
And I should qualify too that with not knowing who the ED is going to be, they might have a slightly different preference. I mean, we have had projects where the ED does not want to be the final decision maker on this, and purposely does give that role to a co-chair, to co-chairs, for example. So I don't want to say exactly how it'll work, but you're right. Last year it was definitely Mark and Chris who had the final sign off.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend that just for out of spreading the vitriol if people don't like the lineup.
Well, why do you think we? No, just kidding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, So there's different ways to think about it.
We may need a new repo, I would think, in the OpenJS org. I don't know if it's something like conferences or.
Oh, that's a good.
That might be a good thing to toss over to the Bootstrap committee.
Yeah, I think that's getting the scope of the Bootstrap meeting on Mondays.
And we could just file an issue and then figure it out, in the Bootstrap repo, and then figure out if it's time to open a community repo or something there.
Awesome. But
and
then
if we need more people for the review, I can also volunteer for it.
Great. So just to clarify, next steps here are, Sarah, you're going to get a document written up and socialize it, probably out with Bootstrap, and we'll raise its. We'll also send it out here at ComCom for feedback, and we'll iterate on feedback there. Awesome.
And then anyone who volunteered. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to follow up with we'll open an issue in Bootstrap for where this should best live, and we'll figure it out in that meeting.
I'm doing that as we speak.
Beautiful.
Oh, great. Yeah. And anyone who volunteered here today, I'll pass the name to our events team.
Sounds good.
Okay. And then the other item too, I just wanted to talk about was the Node adoption survey. So user survey that we usually do annually. And this is the sort of larger comprehensive survey that Tracy Hines has really been instrumental in helping us with through the years. We are getting ready to kick that off, and I was similarly looking for volunteers who might want to help not completely redo the questions, because we're we're hopefully getting to a few years in now where we have some year-over-year trend type of data and information that we can be looking at, but take at least a scrub and of looking at those questions if there should be some slight modifications and, before we issue it.
I would definitely support like recommending people from like non-US based locations. I think this is the feedback that we've gotten as well is that depending on the country, some of the questions can be painful. And also potentially, translation, if potentially. Yeah.
I can help with that too.
Awesome.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I know that we did do the Mandarin translation and English. Those were the two languages we did last year. Tracy, were you hearing requests for more language support?
Yeah,
and I know that.
Yeah, I think that would like any year that we have someone who can provide, a language translation or a couple of people for a language translation. Like I would love to have that call. We won't need that yet. But I know Joyi was essential to that happening, I think 2 years ago, and spent time and then ended up, I think, crowdsourcing a little bit of help because it was just so much work. We have better response rates and we have higher fidelity feedback when we are able to, convert it or translate it into other languages. It makes sense. And so if we have somebody, great. Like we would love for people to help with that.
Yeah. We can also ask, we have a collection of folks just that have contributed to the crowd-in translations that we might be able to ask to help translate these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we've asked in prior years, but it was tough to get people's bandwidth at even with like a month, or 6 weeks notice. But we can always try again.
Yep.
I think it would be good. I understand we're not going to wholesale change the set of questions and so forth for consistency across years. I'm still thinking it would be good to have some sort of call across the project saying, we're starting to work on this. Are there any, questions you think we should add or tweak and get that feedback? Because I think in past years, it's, at least from my impressions, it's kind of like it's come out and we haven't had a cycle where the community and projects can sort of comment or make suggestions, and I think that would be good.
I'd be curious to see the questions. I might just be misremembering, but I don't remember having seen the survey before myself. So Sarah, is there a place where we can take a look?
I can share it. It's I have a PDF of it, and then it was in SurveyMonkey, so it's that's how it was administered last year.
Yeah, so we would probably want to, we could either, find a way to pull the survey out of the PDF mode or upload the PDF itself and ask people to, comment. Because yes, y'all are right. It would be great to get feedback and try to figure out ways how we can, modify the questions without destroying the multi-year question dynamic.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, surveys like this are an art form for year-over-year data.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But it's sort of like, I think we can get a better sense of kind of community ownership and by doing that once a year. And yeah, I think I think the suggestion of getting like the PDF into an issue somewhere with, some of the expectations up front saying, hey, we may not be able to change it wholesale because we need consistency, but we want to make sure that we start to incorporate feedback year over year. So here's your chance to give us new questions, just tweaks. And, we may or may not be able to address them this year, but hey, we'd like to, start the process. Again, I guess that's something that should go probably under the OpenJS Foundation scope. Unless it's a
there's one. It is good. I actually met and discussed this with Jory yesterday, and we thought it was smart to keep this as a node survey.
Yeah.
One, there's a lot being worked out in terms of what marketing support and what the needs are for marketing and data and research across all the projects. And, there's probably going to be some tiering based on different levels. And obviously Node is at that impact level, as are, I know, 4 others. But it's already 60 questions long, and we just felt that we should keep this focused on Node. I think there's other work being done in the community with a different foundation that might even be looking at the JavaScript overall ecosystem and some trends and how technologies are being used that Jory thought might be really relevant and useful for us to sort of co-promote or share and leverage, so that we might not even need to do a second or a survey on the other JSF projects, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, thinking about it, I totally agree that, you know, as we've said, the focus is still on the project, so that doesn't mean that everything that comes out needs to be across all the projects. So this is one that, yeah, just should still be a very node specific thing. So I guess in that
That's
case,
what we thought,
like an issue in the admin repo maybe that says,
got it. Yep.
So Sarah, this is a tangent. Well, for one, I love the idea of Foundation offering surveys as a service for member projects if they need it.
Great.
But as you look at like the kind of state of JS survey of JavaScript across the internet, might be worth reaching out to the folks who do state of JS, since they have a bunch of prior art and have done it really well. I just want to make sure it's on your radar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just dropped a link in the chat. Yeah, they do a really good job each year.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Anything more?
No, I think that's everything. We're going to do a review of the questions, our team as well, and then we'll get it out on GitHub and have a window of opportunity for community input.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Chugging right along. So up next, we have a PR open in ComCom. This is number 462. This is adding the Node.js outreach initiative to the README. So for folks who were maybe not on the last call, there's been last couple calls. There's been a few rumblings of the need for a new effort, a new push here. We had 3 or 4 tickets across multiple repos asking for more resources for community organizers and community advocates to really be able to organize local activities and have support in organizing local activities for folks who might not know exactly how to get started. So from this, we spun off and actually had our first inaugural meeting last week. We spun off the reboot of the outreach initiative, which we're going to be focusing a lot on making sure that local organizers actually have the resources they need to organize local meetups, and then help with amplification and promotion of those, or discovery for people. There's a whole lot of questions that'll need to get answered here. And I guess first clarifying things like we aren't organizing meetups, we're helping provide resources and then helping people connect with local ones. So we're very much in a service and resourcing position, not in a organization position. But you know, there's a huge ask from folks around the community. There's a huge opportunity here to get people connected and help amplify the reach of these things in ways that we haven't before. And I'm psyched to see what we can do. There's a lot of work here. It looks like we have a few shipments on the a few approvals on the PR already. So barring any strong naysayers here, which hopefully there aren't, I'm going to merge this in. And then I'm just going to make a CTA here. If you're interested in helping out, see how we can provide extra support for these types of organizers. Like we're going to start our regular meetings every other Tuesday. So we had our first one this previous Tuesday. We'll be doing another one in 2 weeks. Yeah, come join in. There's going to be a lot of work in this space. Awesome. And I'm seeing the shipments roll in. So sweet. And part of that is also hey owner, welcome back. Yeah, so part of that is also an introduction to it's a good segue into our next issue. We have 2 newish folks on this call. They've been engaged elsewhere. One of which, Ahmad, or Awais, I have an PR open for his nomination here at ComCom. And sorry, excuse me. So So the other person heavily involved in the initiative is Maida, who we got an intro from early on, who I'm hoping we'll see around a lot more often in this meeting as well. But issue number 463 is the new member nomination for Always. So we haven't had a new member in a while, a new member nomination in a while. So I would like to start the tradition, just so it becomes a normal thing, even if we haven't done it already, of having a small private session at the end of meetings where we have new member nominations, just to, make sure people have the space to give feedback and say A-okay or nay in a private venue. So barring any other issues people want to bring up in the public session, we'll go private, talk about this, and address this issue. Are there any other topics?
I will say.
Mhm.
Okay, go on. I'll talk later.
Okay.
I was just going to say that there was an issue opened, issue 465, Ben Tiriel offering a resignation from the ComCom. So I went ahead and PR'd this at the beginning of the meeting just to help with that. But I did just want to say thank you to Ben for the work he has done over the past year plus that he's been a member. And thanks for participating in the community. We appreciate it, Ben.
100%. Ben's the reason why the outreach initiative is re-kicking off right now, and he's contributed a lot over the last year and a half as well. So yeah, thank you for surfacing that, Jeremy. It's important to give that recognition.
I believe that this would be the right time to say that Maida and I have started working on the outreach initiative, and if you folks are excited about it, definitely join in on the outreach repository. We are definitely looking forward to help around focusing on things like what should we focus on first. So we're trying to start small instead of big.
Awesome. And Maida, you wanted to say something as well right now?
Yeah, I just wanted to continue what Sarah mentioned towards the end of her chat, or towards the end of her chat about the node adoption survey. So I think such surveys sounds like a great idea for the outreach initiative program as well, like getting people on board. So I really don't have much details about the survey thing, but I think if we conduct these surveys and something like the state of the JavaScript, which you've shortly mentioned, they can be a good adding value to the outreach initiative. So if Sarah would like to share some more details about that with me, I can work it around for the outreach initiative. We can incorporate that thing into that.
So I don't know how, yeah, I'm actually a little unsure of how the survey is actually socialized right now. I guess I have very little context on that myself. But I think there's an existing process from past years. So it'd be interesting to see how if we can help.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk one-on-one with anyone who wants more context and history and ways to collaborate moving forward, and certainly whatever committees or people that want to get involved. I think usually that makes for a better outcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I'll get you two connected over email. I'll write the intro email after this.
Great.
We'll see how we can help surface that more. Awesome. Well, if there's no other topics here, I'm going to take us off the live stream and kick into a private session quickly. But otherwise, thank you all for joining in, and thank you for calling in. Bye, everybody on YouTube.